Hello and welcome back to the 7th episode of the Saints Prime podcast. Already taking you off guard. So it's with me, Ollie, Harry, Mikey. There we go. Right, what should we go into first?
Questions. Like,
We've
got loads.
We've got loads. So we've got ones from last week, ones from this week, I think. So which ones are we going first?
So we'll go Ryan Combe 04. I think this was from last week. Yep. What do we need from the remainder of the transfer window?
So this was last week, but we'll pretend it's today's because things happened over the weekend. So I don't know actually.
What positions? Positions, and then
everyone on Twitter is saying a centre back. I don't think we. I don't know. Maybe
it depends what happens to Stevens and Toy.
Yeah. Well, whoever. If someone leaves, I think we'll need. Well, I don't know. If we trim the squad, then we might not need a replacement. But I think, depending on some position, if both Stevens and Hoyd go, I think a rotational centre back would be good. But I think if one of them goes, then I think we should just try and keep a concise squad. We're not trying to do Europa League, so just try and keep a good tight squad, and maybe just take the pain off the wage bilges. Bilges. Wage bilges. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think centre backs. I'm not too fussed about. I know people want to improve our defence, but that's our defensive problem is that we didn't really build a centre back partnership throughout the season because we kept on going from a 3 to a 2 to a 3. We didn't always have Vestergaard and Bednarek. Sometimes it was different combinations. So I want to keep that 4 back, keep the 2 centre backs we've got at the moment, and just get rid of Stevens or Hoyt, or Hoyt, because we don't need 5 centre backs in the squad.
No, definitely not.
And anywhere else, maybe a wing back, but maybe a backup right back to Valerie. Left back, I'm pretty happy with.
Mikey, any thoughts?
No.
Who was that question from?
Ryan Como 04. So you don't think we need just a centre back, or
I don't really like. We can strengthen wherever, sell wherever, but I don't think we really need many more improvements.
You're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy with the squad that we've got.
Okay, so thanks to Ryan for that question.
Yeah. Next one is Bruce Lean 16. More of a statement. He thinks we're going to regret selling Target. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a regretful decision?
It's a strange one because you got Matt Target. I think people have the same image with Matt Target as they do with James Ward-Prowse in the way that he seems like he's still young and still ready to develop when he's actually 23, 24 now.
Yeah.
So I think it was his time. If he wasn't, I think last season was his time to try and break into the first team.
Yeah.
And he didn't break through under two managers through Ryan Bertrand. So I think it was time for him to move on, find first team football. Bertrand will do this season and probably move on, and then hopefully Vokins will step in as the first choice left back.
We probably think if it any had a chance, it was this season, because you think Bertrand wasn't particularly inspiring, was it?
No.
Like we were kind of saying, it's kind of average performances, nothing too exciting. So the opportunity was there for him to break through, and he did have a couple of good runs in the season, but overall, I think,
he did cement his place, and he had a good amount of time when Bertrand was injured to cement that place, and it was okay. But the fee we've got, are you happy with the fee?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a fair fee for both parties.
Fair.
Yeah, I was quite happy with that.
We've got a lot more than I was expecting for Target.
Yeah. I'm not shocked that we got double figures, but like looking at Target, looking at we didn't massively need him because of Jake Vokins that's coming in, and getting some places saying 11, some people are saying 14. Either one, fantastic. We can reinvest back into the squad. Thank you for the question, Matt Ashwood, or Matt_Ashwood_. Elyounoussi versus Boufal. What do you think about that sort of compare and contrast the players?
Neither of them. So Boufal, he's got a load of excitement about him, but it'll be the same. Like he probably won't get an end product. I hope he does, but he probably won't get an end product on him because he's just not that sort of player. He doesn't look like he cares.
It would be nice if you've got to think. I reckon if I had to bet on one of the others, like who would be the most make the most impact, I think at least Boufal's still got 2 stunners in him. Like he has proved that he's got worldies in him. So you think if you're going to have one player, you might as well stick him on, hope for something to happen in like a bit of a dead game or something like that. Maybe it could be useful. Elyounoussi just seems very uninspiring. So I'd probably say Buffal, give him his chance. See what happens.
Yeah, it's a tight one, and with Buffal, the problem is people are saying, oh, skills, flair. He hasn't worked under other managers, but Ralph's different. With those dribbles, he hasn't proved that he can get loads of goals and assists over under those dribbles, and he's probably got a high amount of possession lost as well. Because the amount that he tries, he will complete quite a few. So it's an interesting one. Elyounoussi is not really inspired too much, but if he gets his head down in pre-season, anything could happen. He's the sort of player that's got loan move all over him. Loan move this season, then we'll sell him next season for like 6 or 7 million. But both of them, I wouldn't mind getting rid of. Jake Puckett says, watch a video of Brian Mwembo. We are linked to him. I've not heard anything about that guy, but I watched the video. Seems like a good striker.
Can you summarise?
He's a sort of a bit of a bullish striker. Not like Chadens. He's good. First time finisher. Preys on the defenders making mistakes and stuff like that. So, like I said, I've not heard anything about us being linked to him, but looks like a good sort of player. Not too bad, but we've got Chadens now, so we really need him, especially with Danny Ings as well.
We got to say these questions were last week. Unfortunately, we couldn't record, but
Final one, because from James Rickson, what's going to happen with the Chadens deal? But that's one's already sorted.
I think it's going to go through.
Jasper Alexandra, who do you believe will be the breakout player next year, and who is the most underrated player in the Southampton squad?
Breakout player. That's quite difficult.
Breakout player will be Vokins, because he'll get his chance,
okay.
and I think he will cement it over. But I've only seen him play once,
Yeah.
so it's not. It was
impression.
a good first impression. He played well against Newcastle, but I think he'll break through, and I think he'll cement his place next season.
Who do you think's going to break out?
I think it's quite difficult, actually. I think Vokins is a good shout, but I think there's not many. The players that we've had have kind of been around for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is that can't really shift our players. So I kind of seen a lot of players there and thought, oh, this will be their breakthrough and things like that. Hasn't really.
Well, I'd argue breakout for us is not breakout for the league. I would say like Vokins is a breakout for the league.
Yeah.
But because we've heard a lot about Vokins, it's not going to be surprising when he.
Well, we kind of want it to happen, don't we? You're ready for the system to work.
It'll be the same. It'll be the same as Obafemi. It'll be the same as Slattery. It'll be the same as
Barnes if he comes out.
Yeah, Marcus Barnes. Like these players will have their Premier League breakout season at some point.
Yeah.
But because we already know about them, there's no
one that's not made a senior appearance that I genuinely think. If Ralph last season, I think he's played everyone that he thinks is good enough. Like I like people like Tommy O'Connor in the background, Christoph Clara, but he would have played them last season. I think if this was their sort of season.
I wouldn't say Christoph Clara because you want experienced centre backs in a relegation battle. You don't want to throw a youngster into a game where
you try Jan Bednarek in as soon as he got in.
Yeah, but Bednarek's had the experience of last year as well.
Player,
it's not like you're throwing Kane Ramsey into it or Christoph Clara or someone like that who has not had the experience yet. If we're high flying, I can see Clara getting in. I can see Alfie Jones getting in.
The problem is that if we did chuck one of those in, that kind of disrupts the centre back partnership at the moment. Whereas wingers and strikers and stuff like that, they're more interchangeable than a back line.
You can't not give players a chance though. You can't just if they've got the potential to be a good player, you need to break that back four into getting them in there.
But then, in a way, the whole point of Southampton teams is to win games. So if you try and break people in for the future, that might be good for the future, but that hurts the now.
I'm not saying like
no,
first game of the season player back to Christoph Clara and Alfie Jones. That's not what I'm saying. It's like if we're safe, if we're 10th, 11th,
it's a bit
like sort of
Stoke City level of season,
and you've got time to play a player.
Cups, you can put them in cups. You think if you're in third round of Carabao Cup and you pull a League One side, what's going to stop you from putting some players in there, have a good performance, and then maybe a couple of injuries as well? It's not like rotate. Like we've got enough players anyway, so they probably won't really be in the rotation, or it'll be if it's squad injuries or big rotation that they will find the first team. But
I think that's the reason why I don't think we need many more signings, because if we do offload Stevens and Hoyt, that does give a chance for someone like Christoph Clara to push into the first team and get himself as a rotation.
Pathway. So final answer for breakout player.
Oh god.
Vokins.
I quite like Slattery to have a go, because I think in those, I think he'd be good in front of that defence.
Yeah.
Because what I'm not a big fan of the 4-2-2-2 formation. Like for me, I think there's quite a lot of players that will miss out in that formation. But what it does give you is 2 players in front of that defence, and I think Slattery could be really interesting because he's had a really good season. I can't remember where was it, a couple of seasons ago or something. He came in, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
What was the last season? Not too sure, but he did look
last
quite good
season. He played a couple of times.
Yeah, and I think he could definitely make an impact there.
Yeah, that sounds good. If you want to find out our underrated player, check out the awards episode where we talked about our ones there. Right, the last one for that day.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, that was why. All right,
that's what I'm saying.
All
right, Reggie Way said, "What do you think about our new chairman? What do you think? What do you think is going to happen, Mr. Gow?"
It's been too too
Yeah.
short for me to comment, because he seemed like last year he threw money into the club. This year he seems to be throwing money into the club as well. So
yeah,
to an
you know,
extent,
that's
I think
that's fine by
the
me.
press conference got a little bit lost in. Well, it's not a press conference, was it? It was more just like a interview.
Yeah.
And I think
It's more
the main
lecturing
titles
sorts.
came out of that and seemed a lot bigger than probably what he meant by it. I think the fact that he's trying to keep us kind of neutral with the transfers going out and the transfers going in, I think that's actually quite refreshing to see. Like, as long as it's
that's fine by me, because as long as like, we've had the Jesus Christ, we've had the relegations, we've had the administrations and everything like that. So as long as we can be a stable football club, mid-table with the Premier League.
And I think it's almost when people are saying, "Oh, just get rid of the players that we can't shift, just get rid of them and then buy in loads of players." That's so
There's a reason
unsustainable.
we can't get rid of them.
And I think it's a little bit of like a bad attitude of the players that we actually got. Like we think, "Oh, just get rid of Austin," but he's a proven goal scorer.
Yeah.
Like clubs will want to sign him, and we'll get a decent amount of money from him if he does want to go.
And again, Ali Newsy, like if we want to offload him, there'll be teams in Switzerland
definitely,
because of what he did in that league.
Yeah.
I think there should be a clean slate for now, because what I don't want us to fall into the pit of what we did for a couple seasons is keep on loaning out the players that we don't want and then they go on a free transfer. I'd much rather this season clean slate because we've got a new manager. Just get rid of the players, whatever fees come in, and then start new from whatever budget that comes. Because players like Gaston left on a free transfer, which at the time was our record transfer because we kept on loaning him out. Same with Daniel Howlett. I know it's a bit different, his situation, but it's that sort of thing where it isn't sustainable to buy players with big money. If they don't work, loan, just for their other teams to cover their wages, and then we don't get a transfer fee at the end.
I think fans have to give players a clean slate as well. No matter what players have done in the past and stuff like that, you have to give them a clean slate this year, because for so many times it's been turning up in the ground and just going, "Oh, like this player's rubbish" or something like that. There's no point in him playing.
No, I remember that was with Redmond after a while. Like for a while, Redmond had that reputation of just doing nothing with the ball.
Hoyt last year as well.
Yeah.
Guys like that, to be fair, Hoyt, Stevens, if they were playing, Vestergaard at the start of the year, if he was playing.
Yeah, people saying that he's too tall, not mobile enough, and things like that, and suddenly it turns around quite quickly, doesn't it?
Well, that's what pre-season's for. Hopefully there's loads of friendlies abroad, loads of players get lots of chances, because there's no point giving a player 20 minutes to the back end of one game to try and prove himself, because that's not enough time. Every player's got to be given a fair enough, equal amount of minutes to show themselves. And if by then they're not good enough, we'll still have the rest of the transfer window to go with them if they're not good enough by then. Other questions: where do you think Southampton will finish this season? Kind of difficult to answer because the Premier League transfer window isn't over. That's from Christiansen 123.
I don't think this is where we'll be finishing, but I'll be happy with 12th and above. Like if we get 12th, well, actually 14th and above, 17th and above.
I think we did this. Was it last week or the one I think we all had? But I'll probably say I'll make the same point again. I can't quite remember what I said, but I think I said the point that there's potential for teams that have got bigger capacity and things like that, like just bigger clubs than us, to finish above us. So I think being realistic, I think probably 12th, a bit like you said, 12th kind of around that area. To be comfortable to not be in a relegation battle, I think anywhere, I think that's progress.
Just have a nice calm season.
It'll be nice to come into the last 5-6 games of the season knowing you're staying up.
Well, I think if we have a positive season, then you can start 2020 and rebuild that 5-year plan that we haven't had. Because imagine if we do 19 to 20, get mid-table, and that's a solid structured team with a good manager. If you then set your 5-year plan, you can do what we're trying to do here. Are we trying to go up everyone? Are we getting Europa League? Are we just trying to get a big foundation, big stadium, things like that? Because it's all fallen apart with this whole relegation battle, things like that. Almost chucked my laptop across the other side of the room. But yeah, I think that's what they've got to try and do. We've just got to have a calm, positive season this year to give us a foundation to build on and start planning what we're going to do in the future. Like, are we going to just try and maintain the Premier League? Are we trying to be cost effective until we find a chairman with more enthusiasm in investing? Because you have to invest to be able to stay above, especially as we're over our kind of pay grade at the moment. Like, there are bigger teams that are like happy to spend the money, and they could just do like Man City or Newcastle, get big investors. They can suddenly start shooting up the league. So you've really got to kind of plan what's going to go on. So I think
I'd say top 14, but also not getting drubbed by any team outside the top 6, because we did that against teams like West Ham last season. Teams around us, in a way, we just got some teams, not all of them, we just got smashed by. So making sure we're competitive in every game from team 7th to 20th. I want us to do well against the top 6, obviously, but I'm not holding any level of expectation, and always be competitive against 7th to 12th.
I think
10th,
we've always
20th,
been good at creating upsets, and I think that's where the massive gap between about first, second, that massive gap between that and the next one, and then Wolves, Watford, was there someone else, or maybe around there, compared to the relegation battle. The reason they were so high is because they picked points off the top 6. Yeah. So it is possible. Like, it is there. No one's gone every game winning. Like, you can get points off them. So I think we've just got to try and make sure we get a decent amount of points from the ones around us, beat the ones below us, and try and cause a couple of upsets. Yeah. Because sometimes we don't have it in it. It's the Saints way, isn't it? We'll draw against a lower league team and then cause an upset. Like, that's kind of the way we've kind of done it. But when those wins don't come against the top ones, it's starting to struggle for points. So
if we can just do what Che Adams wants, or just win the league.
Yeah. Love the ambition.
Okay.
Right, a couple other questions we've sort of answered with Kieran _Yeo about where else we need to strength. We've kind of already answered that. He thinks centre back, right back, and left footed winger. Sort of, maybe not too sure.
It's very specific.
But Right, I'd rather have the 2-footed. _Campbell1701 said, you think Jordan Boufal should be given a chance? Once again, we sort of said that already. All players should be given a chance.
It would be
in the pre-season.
Yeah, to be fair, you kind of forget about him. How people are on loan.
He would work in the system. It's just whether he wants to move away from Romeo, Højbjerg, Ward-Prowse, Lamina as the 4 in that central.
So is Ward-Prowse playing CDM now?
Basically? I don't know. We'll find out first game of the season where he wants to play him.
Because I think everyone's assuming Ralph is going to play this 4-2-2-2.
He could do the CDM role because he's shown the more aggressive side of his game now. But he could also do the more creative role. Attacking midfield too, so it's
good to have those.
It's either one.
I really want to see first game of the season. I want to see what the plan is like.
I'd love to see first game of the season. I'd love to see Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse sit in, and then you get Redmond and Dijempo, the 2 wide players.
Okay. So who was holding there? Sorry.
Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse, the 2 holding players.
I think Romeo had a decent season.
He had a decent season, but I want to see Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse develop as a player.
But then who does the dirty work there? Are you saying Ward-Prowse is the kind of
Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse, both of them can do it. It's just Højbjerg gets sent off more.
Yeah. That's a very youthful team there.
And then you can bring Romeo on off the bench, maybe create a 3, like the 3 in the midfield.
Yeah. See, I like Romeo because I feel like he breaks a lot of the play up. like the way we've already done it, when we have those two in front of the defence, you've got one that can play the ball out and one that just breaks up the play.
Problem with Romeu is he doesn't have the technical ability of Højbjerg.
Neither did Wanyama though. Wanyama never had the technical ability.
Wanyama was different because Wanyama was literally a brick wall. I think Romeu's not. He's not as good as Wanyama was at breaking up the play.
But I remember listening to interviews of people saying that it was either Wanyama or Romeu that you didn't want to get tackled by, and some people saying that Romeu was just as but like
incredibly scary.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you want one of those players, and I think you got Romeu pressing you, which is what he likes to do. He doesn't like sitting back, and that's where he got caught out. When he can press straight away, I think he's really brilliant in that position.
I think he's a mohawk again.
Remember, he was player of the season. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And that's a player that we're trying to kind of phase out now. He's got the potential there.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's
and also he's only 26 as well, 27 I think. So he's got 4 or 5 years left in him. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's why I prefer the 3 in the midfield, 5 at the back, 3 in the midfield.
I mean, we could just line up on the first game of the season. Ralph saying, "Don't know where you got this 4-2-2-2 thing from." Like we are taking that for like we're just.
Well, that's the system that he played the last couple of games in was the 4-2-2-2, and I think we looked a lot less stable, especially against West Ham. Then
well, like if they're going to be taught that way, it's just. I can't really get my head around it because it's not a formation I'm really comfortable with.
It's not a usual formation that you see.
No, because it's just there's a lot of pockets of space in that. Maybe there's some genius tactic that goes on there that they close this space and I don't know, consolidate like come all at one and kind of surround the players or something. But yeah, for me, it just kind of seems kind of strange. Maybe it's a reinvention. Maybe let's be positive.
It's worked in the past, so it'll be able to work.
Yeah.
Look at the thing is, he says, "Do you think Geordie will be given a chance?" The problem is, I don't think Geordie wants to be here. I think he wants to go back to the Netherlands to AZ Alkmaar or Feyenoord or wherever in the Netherlands that want him really. So it's I'm not too sure, but if he wants to give him a go, but I'd rather give Harrison Reed a chance. Very similar players. I think Harrison Reed would have more in the future. Final question, Alex Jones. Have you heard any other rumours? You are normally quite accurate with your stories. Thank you very much for the compliment.
Did he actually say that?
Oh, yeah, he did. He genuinely said that.
Adrian Rabiot.
It's completely moved to Juventus. Sadly.
I don't know where that came from. Where did that come from? Well, talking about, what did he say? Transfer reliability.
But the weird thing is, like Sky Bet was so scared that might happen. They put us at 18-1 to sign him. Like it was like for like 1 or 2 days they did put Southampton
I literally just opened my phone. So 31 minutes ago, this is Alfie Jones has completed a long season-long loan to Gillingham.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
You told me that a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, so we're recording this on the Tuesday, ready to go out Friday. But
Right, it's just breaking news in a way.
There we go.
To us, it's breaking.
Yeah, in 3 days' time we're breaking, but yeah, we just got that through. But yeah, so talking about transfer reliability, we found this bloke on Twitter, haven't we?
Jimmy McCann.
And I think a lot of people are kind of paying attention to him because he's making a lot of calls, and a lot of them are right. Now,
very accurate,
we keep debating whether he is 100% legit, but
I'd say it.
Yeah,
I have my doubts. He's proven me.
Like I saw on Twitter that he says he's a retired football agent and he's not on the list anymore for footballing agents, which made me a little bit doubtful. But
he says he's got friends in the game.
He's people like Che Adams. He called about 5 days early that the fees agreed, and then it suddenly hits the media that the fees agreed. He did Target. He said that there's an £8 million bid for Charlie Austin to Sheffield United.
Yeah. And apparently the player's keen on the move as well.
And he said Austin's keen on the move.
And it's also sort of confirmed because Billy Sharp, when Charlie Austin had his birthday post on Twitter, Billy Sharp was commenting on the bottom of that as well, basically welcoming him to the club already.
Yeah,
so,
he's making a lot of calls. The one that I'm paying attention to at the moment is Telemans, that he said that Telemans is accepted for Leicester. I know it's not Saints related, but this is the one he's saying at the moment. He seems like he's always a couple of days ahead of it. Now, I don't know whether that's just because he's taking safe shots at it and getting it right, or if he is just legit and he knows people inside. But a lot of it is coming out right, isn't it?
Well, he's getting those safe shots right every time. He's not missed not miss one in terms of saying.
And when things like Target come out, like I wouldn't have really expected Target to Aston Villa to happen so quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he brought out that information. Suddenly it hits all the media.
Yeah.
And he's almost saying that he's the first to bring it out to the media, and then the media are using him as a source.
Yeah.
Like, no one's really linked him as a source, but it's interesting. As soon as he reports it, 2 days later,
Sky
the exact
Sports,
same thing comes out. And I don't know whether, I don't know whether he's legit. I hope he's legit, because if he's, I think
Well,
he's
if
only
it's
got.
not, it looks like it is. So.
I mean, he's only got. When we first started following him, he had about 5k followers. About that, he's up to 11k already.
Yeah.
So like, people are clearly seeing that he's got proof in what he's saying. So
apparently one of the players that we are sorting out for is quite highly linked with Jared Bowen, the one from Hull,
right,
which would be the lad's left-footed winger. He'd be a good signing.
A dangerous winger. He's got goals in him. Hull City worked under Nigel Atkins last year. I think.
And the thing is, Hull are
three wingers.
Well, you've got to have an impact off the bench. I mean, you got Sims actually, so maybe not.
The thing is, though, would Gerard Bowen be happy with being off the bench? Because I think he could get into a Premier League team like a Norwich and
Depends
start
how much we
instantly.
pay him.
Very, very true. Right, so we talked about Jimmy McCann. Let's go through those transfers that he broke. Che Adams first.
Yeah.
What's your instant reaction to that?
I was so happy. Like I know you two like have your doubts, but I think a player like that, you've got to snap him up for that. Yeah. For what's on the table there, if you wrote down the positives on there, young player, English, over 20 goals a season.
Yeah.
He's been through all the leagues and wanted to prove himself in the next league. Like, he's got that desire to try and make an impact. I think that's just so important, especially meeting Ralph, who again wants to try and push everyone forward. I think it's just a really good combination. I'm really excited to see what happens.
It's just nice to see the club. Like, Ralph obviously wanted him 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the club just went after him consistently throughout the summer and managed to get a deal, because it seemed like it was off a couple of weeks ago. So,
and it's the proper Southampton way, isn't it?
Yeah.
That signing is young, English, wants to be proven. He has a good couple of seasons. If he wants to go, he wants to go. We stick a sell-on clause on him. Everyone's happy. Yeah. That's kind of the way that we've done it, isn't it?
He wants to win the league with us, so
it's
going to be for a long time.
When I saw that, we said about he did an interview. I went over and he's talking about winning the league. I mean,
I love it from him, but
I don't know what the board is saying to these players, because who was the other one? Zempo said about winning trophies. There must be something in these transfer negotiations that we're pumping out.
Certainly interesting. But yeah, with Che Adams, it's pretty risk-free. 15 million nowadays. Like, even if he doesn't
just to get a striker with 2 legs for 15 million is pretty impressive.
Even if he doesn't do that well, that's we can still resell him for only probably the same amount.
Also, just seeing the tweets from Birmingham fans and the disappointment in the fact that they've lost Che Adams, that's quite
telling.
Yeah, that's quite nice to see, because you've bought a player of quality. Yes. And that's the same for Aston Villa and Matt Target, because the tweets that Southampton fans were doing, Villa fans were quite confident with the player that they got.
So Matt Target, should we talk about him, or have we got any more on Che Adams?
I think we've covered quite a lot. Goal scorer, bullish striker as well. We've not really had since Graziano Pella, really. So I know Charlie Austin is, but not as much as we really wanted to.
I just like the fact that he's got that mobility in him. He's strong and he knows where the goals are. There's a lot of goals that you watch these clips back, and he's turning and he's shot, and it's quick shots that the keepers can't predict. They're not setting their feet and then saving it. It's quick shots. It's quick, unexpected ones, which I think we don't do sometimes. We think too much about them. We try and set them up.
Hard working striker as well. Yeah. I was watching the goals he scored yesterday, and he is a very hard working striker with end products as well, which is
every player that Ralph will sign will be a hard working player. Yeah. He will not sign a player that is not willing to work for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and going on someone that hasn't worked that hard, Charlie Austin in recent times. He's done all right at Saints, but I had to find some way that it was going to link them. Really,
I thought we were going on to Target, because it's do you want to talk about Matt Target? Just let me say this thing about Che Adams. We'll just go on to Charlie Austin.
I thought we talked about Target earlier, but if you want to
I just wanted to talk about the fact that his socks were on the wrong way around.
That was funny. That epitomises Matt Target.
Nice lad, but
he's
he's
a nice lad.
He's nice.
If he didn't make it as a footballer, he wouldn't have a lot left, would he?
You ever seen that interview that he did with Harrison Reid?
What
where-
came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
The chicken. No, the egg.
If you haven't seen it, it's on
Or the
Twitter.
fact that he didn't
Or
even
YouTube.
know what starstruck meant. He was talking about X Factor or some rubbish.
But I wish him luck because 15 years at the club, 41 Premier League appearances.
And I know people say that he wasn't the quality for the Premier League, but he always did his best in the Saint Show. He always tried his hardest, and that's all you can really ask for at the end of the
definitely.
day. So, good luck to him. I hope he does well, and please do not score a 40-yard banger against us when you come back down Southampton.
Do you think we'll sign a replacement for him?
No.
Or do you think?
No,
do you think it's just Jake
Vokins will get
Vokins?
blooded in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, now let's go on to Charlie Austin.
Okay. Right,
£8 million apparently. I think apparently according to Sky, I think it's Sky anyway. West Brom, Sheffield United, Fulham, another team also interested. £8 million's the apparent valuation, but Sheffield United are seemingly in front if you're here to believe Jimmy McCann in that race. What do you guys think of the transfer?
Yeah, fine with me. Like we've got a lot of strikers at the club, and if Obafemi wants a chance, then Austin has to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think Austin, and you've got to think he's only got 1 year left on his contract, so it's either cash in now, reduced fee in January, or you let him go on free. So if you can get money for him,
It was going to be one of Austin or Long this summer, and I think Long.
You've written enough letters so far.
I've persuaded Ralph. Long did enough last year. In the last 2 months to prove that he should be the one staying at the club.
Yeah.
And Austin suffered from it. But he did his one and only job under Ralph. He did his job holding the ball in the corner against Bournemouth for 5 minutes. So
Well, you think
Thanks for that.
Austin's got hasn't got that work ethic like Shane Long has. So if even just on that,
he's got the work ethic in him, but he's just not fit enough at the moment.
I don't think his Twitter rant helped either, did it? I think that fell done him out of favour. But is there any more?
Couple, we've got Mario Lemina. He's apparently they're willing to let him go. Atlanta in the Serie A. They apparently offered a loan move. Southampton have straight up rejected it 'cause they just want to get the fee that we paid for him back.
Yeah.
So, do you think he'll want the move? 2, do you think he will go somewhere?
Thing is with Lemina is that it's a strange one because it's a strange one with a lot of our players that they've got the quality to play in the Premier League. It's just whether they can be bothered to do so.
Yeah.
Lemina comes across as a player. If he can be asked, he will be one of the best players in the Premier League.
Oh God!
But when he can't be bothered, he disrupts the play so much.
We're basically 10 men.
And the problem with Lemina, he frustrates me a lot because instead of playing a simple pass, he'll try and turn.
Yeah.
And so many times our players have been caught off, like Højbjerg's done it, and Hoyt's done it, and Lemina's done it, where he's been on the edge of the box. He's tried something special or something like that, slipped over, and then straight away they're on a counter attack to the other side, and they've scored.
Yeah.
That happened against Newcastle 2 years ago.
I think it's strange the way that people fall in favour of other players, but it seems like Buffon and Lemina, just because they can show they've got technical ability, people give them so much more of a chance.
Yeah.
But you think Carrillo and Elyounoussi, just because they can't do a few flashy skills, don't fall in favour as much as those other players. Yeah. Like for me, I think Elyounoussi and Lemina are both haven't proved themselves yet, and they both should be assessed in the same way. Just because Lemina's shown that ability, work rate is just as important as ability. So I think both of those should be judged in pre-season and whether they're ready to be used. But when it was mentioned that Lemina could go, people are kicking off about it on Twitter. Really upset the fact that we're looking to let him go.
You think? Well, I think I brought this stat up earlier on in the season, but you think Lemina, if he's going to work in Ralph's system, he has to be able to work.
Oh yeah.
He spent. It's something like 30% of the time on the pitch walking.
Yeah, I think he was like the 4th most.
Yeah, he was 4th behind Pogba and something like that.
Yeah.
And you see how United fans have reacted to Pogba. Why aren't Southampton fans reacting to Lemina? I know he came from Juventus. He's played in the Champions League final. He's supposed to be one of our best players, but
he does it.
He can't be bothered majority of the time. Because I think at this point he was expecting his move to Arsenal.
Yeah. Hasn't come yet.
I think that injury really hurt him as well because he was out for a long time. I think that definitely disrupted his sort of momentum, and also because even when he got back, he wasn't straight in that starting lineup. He did score against Newcastle, to be fair to him, but he didn't really show.
He was
that
never.
much.
He never like you expect. You think Lamina probably does a very similar job to Romeu in like the breaking up of play and stuff like that. He can do that bit of the game, but and because he can also play out, he's better technically than Romeu. You would have expected him to kick him out of the first team. But,
Right. Next one, Jack Stevens. Aston Villa are interested.
Again.
I didn't see a bid or what Southampton value him at, but what do you think about that? Do you think he will go? Do you think he should go?
I don't want him to go, but he will go.
I think if it's the move's right, you think Target's already gotten there, so he's already got one friendly face there, isn't he? I think he's. Well, you think in your head, oh, he's young, but there's players in the team.
He's
that have-
25.
Yeah.
25. Players in the team that have already proven themselves much more at a younger age. So I think, business-wise, if you can get money for him, I think it might be worth seeing him go.
Where would you see what bid would you accept? What is that magical number that you would go?
If
Do you
it's
know what
near
yes?
double figures, I'd be happy. Maybe 6-8 million, something like that.
Mikey is
No,
hurt
I'm
to the
not happy
core.
about that.
Well, how much would you
He
go?
I would
wants
say
50 million.
I would say 15. 15 and
I
above.
thought
for
he was
Jack
going to say
Stevens.
50.
I'm not saying 50.
Yeah,
Do
but
you think he's young? Well, he's still got 6-7 years left in him.
Yeah.
He's English,
Yeah.
so that already boosts the price a lot. He's played 3 years of Premier League football.
Yeah.
He's like, apart from Cardiff, I can't think of a mistake that he's made.
See, I'm different. I know it just seems like something's there. It's like John Stone's early Man City move, but it hasn't seemed like he's merged yet.
Yeah.
It seems like when he's on the ball, and I'm normally quite positive about players.
Yeah.
I feel nervous that there might be a mistake there because he's like he can play out from the back, and I think he'd be so much more better in a defensive midfielder rather than a central defender. But it's simple things like checking the shoulder for that person, because the amount of goals we conceded between him not checking his shoulder, Cedric being too short, the amount of back post headers that we conceded is ridiculous. Like, it's not just massive mistakes; it's little mistakes in there that I think, teams do their scouting, and I think the reason that he's fallen out of favour is because there's mistakes there and there's mistakes being made, and I think teams will spot that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he lacks, with most of our players, to be fair, good decision making at high intensity times and concentration as well. I know you said we should get 15 million for him, and I'd say nearer that 10 million mark, because you look at Craig Dawson, he's just gone from West Brom to Watford. And I know he's not been playing in the Premiership last season, but for 5.5 million, I wouldn't say that Jack Stevens is a better player than Craig Dawson.
But Craig Dawson's 31, 32, isn't he?
But still, even then, I'd rather pay more for Craig Dawson than
I wouldn't let him
Jack
go for
Stevens.
under double figures.
That's what I mean. I'd let him go for that flat £10 million fee, but
No,
anything
because I'll say he's better than Matt Target.
you would say
Jack Stevens is better than Matt Target.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that.
No,
I wouldn't say that.
You've
I'll
got more
say
promise in a Target. You can kind of go, at least there's a few. Where Stevens, you've got, he's 1 year off prime. You got to say for a defender, 26, 27 is prime, and he still hasn't really got it yet, has he?
No, I think Target's shown more consistent levels of quality as well, whereas the other one, I think Stevens is very mistake prone, and I like him, but if we get 10 million for him, I don't think I can't see how we turn that down.
No.
Quickly, one more as well that's broke pretty recently. There's a centre back from the Brazilian league as well that apparently we've been touted trying to sign against Wolves, but he's one of those players. He's over 28. I'm trying to find his name. Whereas if Ralph said he's going to do only 24 and under, I just can't see it. Walter Canesman, yes, he is a centre back, and yes, that is the position we're trying to find. But if he's over 28, I can't see it happening.
No, I think the philosophy is that we're trying to keep it under. What was it again?
24.
24.
Yeah.
Yeah, blimey, 24. Well, if you could try and sign the next Bednarak or something like that, someone who takes a couple of years to bleed in, that's kind of what you need, really.
Yeah.
Like, you need two sturdy, one rotational, one experienced, and then like one youth player, and you think that's a good amount to rotate it around. But I don't really know where some of our players fall into that, and I think we need to kind of restructure basically.
Yeah. All right, one more. Sam Gallagher, he's apparently wants to buy loads of different championship clubs. Would you let him go on a permanent basis?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a pretty straight answer. Sadly, he's not been given the chance.
No.
Other fans would say
He's just a different player.
But I just don't think he's been given.
He's just a different player. He's a target man, and he just needs to learn his craft a bit more. And he won't learn his craft in a Hasenhüttl team.
Yeah.
Like you won't get those long balls going up to the man. It will be basically quick 1-2s behind the defence around that.
He's more suited to Championship football than the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. Right. What should we go on to next?
Players are now returning from pre-season. We haven't seen all of them because some of them are on international duty and stuff like that. But there's been a few, mostly players that Hasenhüttl was apparently wanting to get rid of. If you players like Gallagher, Geordie Classy,
Austin,
Hoyt,
back,
all those sorts of players.
Training today, and so Cheyan's started pre-season as well. First day today, so that's quite good. But yeah, I think we've said it before. Most players will get a chance in pre-season if they are inspiring or match Hasenhüttl's beliefs already. Then he'll probably look to get them out because he's still got time. Was it 8th of August, I believe?
Yeah, something like that. It's right before the start of the
season. I think he's got time to shift anyone he thinks that doesn't need to be there. So take a good look, see what he thinks. If not, probably be out the door. Because I think we've proved if there's players that aren't going to fit in, then they'll go. And I think
And what do you think of that new training kit as well? What's your opinion?
I'm fine
with
it.
It's all right. I saw a kit they've got on the website. I'll pull it up at the moment, but I'll try and describe it from my vague memory of it. So it's quite a strange one because they've got the normal training kit, which is literally just like badge, logo, sponsor on there, but they've got this weird kit where it's kind of like the ones that the secondary people be wearing, so like Hasenhüttl on the side and things like that. And it's really strange. It's kind of up the top here. Yeah. You know, like the bra thing that they've done before. Yeah. Like the logos are up here now. Like, I'll show you what I mean. I'll put a picture on the clip. Like, I'll show you. I don't know if you can see that there. Can you see at the top there? It's right at the top. Is it like? That is and you see, so it's got buttons, and the final button is lower than the sponsor and the badge. I'll put a picture up on the.
That is odd.
But they've gone for kind of a greeny blue. Yeah. Kind of like these walls. You can't see them. No. Can't see them on the podcast, but it's kind of like.
We'll show a picture of your. We're
not going to show a picture of the walls. It's like a greeny blue basically, walls. And kind of grey. It's yeah, it's all right. They've got the new version of the walking out kits. Is again kind of like a darker blue. I think they've got Southampton FC written down on it, so it's pretty standard really. I'm not a big fan of that colour just because I don't really like it, but I can see how other people like it. It looks quite clean, if that's the right word.
Yeah,
it looks quite smart. I'm not really sure about that badge placement on the adult training kit, but apart from that, I think it's fairly, fairly standard. Ridiculous price, but still, that's training kits.
Anything else you want to talk about? Any other news? Any other say? Because a lot of this podcast will take about your questions, which is more than happy.
Yeah,
well, that's what the podcast is for. Answering your questions.
Can I have a quick look at ex-Saints? I know there may not be many, but I heard Alderweireld's down to his last
contract,
last year of his contract, so he goes to a 25 mil release clause.
As far as no one snapped that up yet.
Well, you say that, but who would have them in the Premier League apart from Man United?
Well, not Man United.
He's 32.
He's 32. He's a proven centre back.
He's a good centre back. Of course, he'll always be a good centre back. But you think you've got United going in. It makes little sense for United going in for £70 million for Harry Maguire for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then going for Toby Alderweireld for £25 million for 2 years.
Yeah. If you go down the league, Man City, he's not going to get in that team, is he?
No.
So next down, Liverpool, is he going to get there? Probably not. Next one. Would he move Matip?
No, because Joe Gomez is coming in.
Alderweireld's only 30.
30.
I know it's only 2 years less. But
yeah, but still, you think 30 to 33 if you put him on a 3-year contract.
Who would you prefer in your team, Harry Maguire or Toby Alderweireld?
See, I would say Maguire, but that's two completely different questions because one's 25 million and one's probably going to be about 85
It's quite strange because for me, when you think of young English, you kind of think technical ability, little bit loose, but will eventually tighten up and be a really good player. But with Harry Maguire, he's a very no-nonsense kind of player, isn't he? You don't really see him dribbling out the back. And kind of in the World Cup, you saw it.
I say he dribbles quite a lot, to be fair to him.
Okay, maybe I haven't watched him enough then.
But I think it's just the fact. If you compare Alderweireld to Maguire, I'd still take Alderweireld because he's £25 million. He's not got that much sell-on value, but you could probably get 10 million for
it. And what you get out of that is good, solid use, class defending in that. With Harry Maguire, you're very much taking a risk for that future, aren't you? Whereas I think what Man United need are a mix of new players and quality experience, not old experience that aren't going to make an impact. People like Ashley Young are good experience, but are they going to really boost that team? Probably not. Whereas someone like Alderweireld, being a leader in that Man United team, could be really useful.
And I look at Maguire and I think Leicester just rejected 70 million, so that will go up to 80 million. They'll probably accept. They should accept 70 million anyway.
That's only 5 million less than Van Dijk.
Yeah, exactly. The market's it's stupid. Yeah. When you look at Maguire, one, he's not really worth that 70 million. I don't think, because I think he's been overhyped by the World Cup and all
the World Cup has added at least 30 million on his price
sort of things. But also, he's not got really any sort of sell-on value. Like, you buy him for 80 million, just a rough estimate. They're not going to be able to sell him on. And he's not a player that's going to win you titles, leagues. There's no way that they'll be able to get money for Maguire in terms of no one's going to buy, not loads of people are going to buy a shirt. Unlike Pogba, if you compare the two, Pogba's got sell-on value for that 80, 90 million, shirt value, all that sort of thing. Whereas Maguire, I just can't see why.
To me, it's just like, I don't think he's that kind of superstar. He's like a quiet, gets the job done player. Yeah. And for me, someone with that high of a price value kind of makes it lands a bit strange for me. But
I'd argue shirt sale wise, Maguire will get shirt sales at United because of the meme of the World Cup. He wants Maguire's shirt on the back of a Man United shirt. I would argue that the sell-on value doesn't matter because you think of a player of Harry Maguire that if they're signing him for £70 million, they are not planning to sell him on.
No, that's
and if he will not, because he's 26 now, if he will not be sold on, they'll get him to 34, 35. He will retire.
See, they're hoping they're going to be the Ferdinand, aren't they? That's our new Ferdinand. But
so, saying that Maguire's not quality enough to play for United, he's broken into an England team that I know aren't incredibly strong centre backs, but you think Smalling was always getting in there. You had John Stones was always a solid centre back. You had Harry Maguire come from literally nowhere, and he's broken into this England team and established himself as England's best centre back.
Yeah,
he is confident coming out with the ball. He is incredible in the air. You got to say Maguire is a quality centre back, and the only reason why people don't rate him is because of what happened in the World Cup with the meme of the World Cup, saying that people think he's better than he is, and also the fact that he is English, and English people always underrate English players.
Yeah,
and I say Maguire for £70 million would be a quality signing for Man United.
Well, I just think you could get. I think he's good enough for Man United because the standards are that low at the moment. But I just think they could get so much better value for money. I think they could get so much better value for money.
Because you think about United want to be winning titles in the next 4 years. If Harry Maguire is going to be signed, then he's going to be an established part of those 4 years. So he's going to be they're going to want Maguire. He's going to be the main centre back at Man United.
I don't think he can win. I don't think a centre back, unless Maguire's there with a top quality centre back next to him. I don't think he's good enough because you think Van Dijk almost won the Premier League with Lovren next to him or Matip next to him. I don't think Maguire could hold.
But I think they've got Smalling. When I went and saw Man United away, he was winning every single header, and I thought he's a very powerful player, Smalling. So if you had another person next to him who was again good quality, I think they could try and bring out the best of both.
You said that you can see Bailly or Lindelof. You would get rid of Smalling and Jones, and you'd let Bailly and Lindelof play because the potential and better developed. Maguire with a fully developed Lindelof in the next 2 years, that could be an incredible partnership for Man United. I know. Maguire is not a flash player. He is not a player to to bring the flair of playing as a centre back.
Yeah.
But you don't need that as a centre back. You need someone who will be dependable, who will be reliable. And Maguire will bring that to Man United, to a defence that has been shocking for the past 3 years.
I'm not convinced, but we'll see in the due course, because I don't think he'll go to City, because I don't think he'll play enough. And then I think Man United is the destination, because one, I don't think City will pay 70 million or 80 million, and two, I think he won't.
I think they're locked up with too many centre backs anyway.
Exactly.
You still think they
still-
spent 50
they still
off
want him.
Mangala.
They still want him, but I don't think they'll
They've
get him.
spent 65 million for a backup winger. Like they spent 65 million on Mahrez. I think they'll happily spend 70 million to not let Man United have Harry Maguire.
I don't think Man United are a rival to City at the moment in terms of league competition. Though.
That's true.
So,
I think that's a good. Like you think Man United are rebuilding, aren't they? I don't think they're a direct threat.
City would find it really, really funny because they've done this with Alexis Sanchez, where they've built up the price tag for him and then just like let him have it.
Yeah.
So I could see City just putting in a couple of bids. It will be like an auction or something like that. And I'll put in a couple of bids and then just raise it to about 90 million.
Because all they could do is
Yeah,
they could just if they need to, they can just absolutely ruin contract negotiations and just fall out with the player.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't make too much of a difference to them, does it?
I still think Maguire would do a job at City.
Yeah. There we go. So I'm just going to move on to last ex-Saints players. Pochettino as Mo's first signing of the transfer window.
Two
He
first
signed-
signings. Not two first signings.
Oh.
Two
You've got
signings.
Jack
That's all.
Clark and Ndombele have both come in.
Yeah.
Jack Clark instantly loaned out to Leeds as well, which is probably the smart move. I don't know who's going to get into that Tottenham team, but Ndombele will get into that team with ease. To be fair. And
I
that's
think it's going to
what
be a really interesting season because I think last season it was pretty much two teams. So I'm quite interested to see how it's going to go this year.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of different teams are doing a lot of different things. So I think it will make it quite interesting. Question season. But shall we wrap it up there for today?
Yeah.
We got anything more?
Shout out to DeJohnpo and Boufal, who are both still in the African Cup of Nations as well.
Oh, shout out to our fans in Malta.
Oh yeah,
I had a look
that's
on
true.
the statistics today, and
Thank you very much.
we've got some fans from Malta. So if you're from Malta,
Absolutely.
drop
love
it down in the comments or something. And
Yeah.
tell us where you're from, because we thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you do want to get in touch with us, best way is probably the Instagram. So
Saints
Harry,
Prime. To be fair, I say what day it's going to be, but it could literally be any day. So keep
an
aware.
but the questions have been
keep
coming
sharp.
in, and we do really enjoy the questions.
We
I think
answer
it does.
every single one.
Yeah, we do. As long as they're
Yeah.
able to read out.
They
we'll
can be
read
about
them out.
anything as
Yeah,
well.
pretty much.
Absolutely anything.
Want to know about Mikey's social life? Then we'll do that.
No, it's not.
That's a
very
very short answer.
Okay, so so Instagram,
There's a bleep for Ollie.
the YouTube. It'll be up on YouTube, but there'll be pretty much every podcasting platform has got.
Yeah.
We're on now, so
You search it, we'll be there.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Spotify.
we're on Spotify, we're on
SoundCloud.
Google Podcasts, we're on SoundCloud, we're on
iTunes.
Breaker, iTunes, all these different ones. All these ones I don't know, I've all put them on there. So if you want to try and find it, it'll be there. So yeah, make sure you like, subscribe to make sure that you get them, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.